It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Flying down from Nova Scotia today.
This nation was founded by men of many nations and backgrounds.
I have a dream.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another bonus segment of Captain Samurai. Got it right this time. We are back once again with a few things on the docket. We are coming off a very big podcast. It's I think episode 183 of the Two Do Men podcast, the Patriot podcast community. We had our buddy Garrett over here with buddy Steve and Alan and James. It was a great time. Check that out now on YouTube. How you doing,
so much
Garrett?
fun. So much fun. I'm still riding the high off Saturday, man.
Yeah.
No, it was a good time,
Yes.
dude. It was so much fun to get us all together in the same room. And it's the first time like all of us met face to face together. It feels like obviously we've known each other for years, which we have for now. But like it was cool just to get everybody together, break bread, have a couple drinks, eat some food. Yeah. Smoke some cigars at mypatriotcigar.com, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, it was so much fun to get together. I know all of us had a really great time.
Yeah, it was an absolute blast. I think we need to just keep going bigger and bigger and bigger. More of the guys and the gals from the community just getting together and doing a big show. It'd be fantastic as far as
it's
I'm
nice
concerned.
when we're all in the same room. I mean, it's tough because like we all have
we are spread out across America.
Yeah, man. And the other thing is like we all have very loud voices. So sometimes like, it gets a little crazy, especially when we're like boozing and drinking whiskey, hanging out. But, we're doing American shit, guys.
Yes, sir.
We're doing American shit. And this is how it should be. Having a good time, but, keeping it serious and fighting for the Republic and trying to keep that way of life. And, shout out to Skaggs for hosting everybody. And dude,
Yes,
he's
sir.
got such a sweet setup over there, man.
Awesome, right?
I love it, man. I was telling my wife, I'm like, this is awesome.
Yeah. We've thrown some wild bangers of a party in that backyard before. So
oh yeah, there's definitely room for it. It's definitely it's definitely a good time, man.
On his wedding day, he had a daytime wedding, and everybody's like, oh, he's like, no, don't worry, we're gonna go back to the house for the after party. And we hit up the after party. There's literally a pizza food truck parked in the middle of his backyard.
Perfect.
And there's everybody brought way too much booze, full DJ equipment, and like just a whole second wedding reception took place in his backyard.
Nah, that's amazing. That's how it should be.
It was fucking wild. Yeah, it was a good time. So anyway, let's get into it. So
what are we chopping up today there, Cap?
I think we'll talk a little bit about Trump being quote unquote arrested and the cheers from Twitter that took place and just the weak case that it truly is. And then also I wanted to start, if you watch the Patriot podcast episode, a few of us are drinking, unfortunately, some Anheuser-Busch products. And if you don't know,
now you do.
Yeah. Anheuser-Busch hired Dylan Mulvaney, who is a trans activist, who is basically a trans propagandist as far as Skaggs and I are concerned, and I'm sure you and Steve. Very TikTok famous, day 300 of being a girl, blah, 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 blah. Bud Light decided to get involved in the culture war. The government didn't tell them. No one told them. Someone in their marketing department said, hey, do you guys want to lose all your money? I got a great idea. And the CEO was like, fucking do it. Mm-hmm. And Dylan Mulvaney is now the face of Bud Light. And boy, Americans are not fucking happy, especially Kid Rock.
My name is Kid. Yeah, man. I mean, well, you see this person being interjected in the culture. You see it on TikTok, on TikTok, right? The TikTok.
All my equipment almost just got ruined.
Yeah. You see it on there, and then you see, them at the White House and the president bringing them in, and now they're coming into the beer culture, man, and the beer culture, right? And that's like the last straw, right? So especially for those red-blooded Americans.
Yeah. What's next is like Smith and Wesson gonna be like, here's our new spokesperson, a tranny, like, you know what I mean? Use our guns in your next mass shooting.
Or David Hodge, right?
Yeah.
He'll be their spokesperson. I mean, it's coming to the point, and it's funny because I'm sure you've heard this on, I've listened to a lot of people about this. When society's collapsing, it goes into this weird gender dysphoria, gender utopia. What is gender? What is this? Like you saw it with the Greeks, you saw it with the Romans, you see it, you saw it with the Soviet Union, you saw it with all that stuff, right? And this is, very telling of the place we're at in society right now, that like we have nothing really to fight about. So they're creating fights on logic just to keep us at each other's throats all the time. And once you're aware of the propaganda, you see it is. Now, my whole thing on the trans and the trans community and everything else is like, us being more of that libertarian space, like go fucking do you. I don't care if you do you and you want to dress up as a girl and you want to do all this other stuff. That's fine as an adult. Don't go after the kids.
As an adult,
that's absolutely fine. Do not have children making these decisions. Do not be propaganding your children into making these weird ass decisions. Okay. And at the end of the day, like you can do what you want to do, but it's the same as one of the analogies I always use. Like you can be schizophrenic, but you can't force me to live in your crazy world.
Yeah.
So you can go do your thing, but like just because you want to play fake pretend, that's fine. But you can't force it, and that's what they're doing is forcing it in the schools, forcing it in the culture, forcing it in the society. Literally, I mean, how mind blowing is this? That a transgender person shot up a school, killed a bunch of kids, and then they had protests for the transgender person. They didn't want to mispronouns. They didn't want to mispronoun them.
Yep. They named the shooter the last victim of the shooting. Yeah.
What fucking upside down world do we live in?
Yeah, because I think
it's almost like you're left speechless that this is even a reality in this day and time, that we are doing stuff like this. And this is what we also need people to understand. They will go at any lengths to get our kids. They will go at any lengths to get our guns, and they are showing it. They are willing to keep putting on. And I'm not saying that this is, a conspiracy theory and, the government was behind the shooting and everything, but you just have to look at it and make a logical assessment. Every time they come after the guns, there's a mass shooting within a week. You can almost set your fucking clock to it, right? Every time they try to make a push on an agenda, there's a giant, firestorm event that happens, and we need to do this, and we need to make you make impulsive decisions on your feelings, right? Now, anybody that's been in a relationship, right? Anytime you make a serious decision just based on your feelings and your logic, how did it work out for you?
It comes out terrible.
Terrible, right? You and your old lady are getting in a fight, man, and then all of a sudden you're both heated and you're like, fuck this, I'm out, and then you made a bad decision. Where if you both just kind of walked away, came back with level heads and talked about it at a different time, you probably have a different situation, right? And we're all guilty of it. Me too, right? I've already told the listeners how many times that I'm a sinner. I'm an imperfect person. I'm not claiming to be perfect, etc. We all make mistakes. We all have our pros and cons, right? But this is getting to the point where it's unpalatable for every normal person. And now, like you guys did an episode a while back, like it's time to stop being nice.
Yeah.
We don't want to ruffle feathers. We want to kind of we're still toting the line.
Still wanted to be peaceful.
Yeah, we're still toting the line of like, okay, they call us racist. We're not racist, but we're watching what we say. They call us, homophobes, but we're, like we always say, like, do what you want to do, but leave us the fuck alone. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you want to do. And we're getting to the point where they're not leaving us alone.
Well, the left and the progressives their biggest fault is they can't leave well enough alone. Never have, never can. And I said this even on an episode that's coming out for the Two Do Men soon. I'll shout it out at the end of the episode. That like, even like if the national divorce took place, like, obviously the national divorce would be it would take place along party lines of the right versus the left. You don't want any guns in your state. We want all the guns in our state. And, we would split it up amongst these party lines. But I could promise you the first shots fired would be the left. Oh, we're going to dam up this river so that Red Wing state can't get any water. Oh, we're going to close off trade to the middle of the country because it's the Red Wing part of the country. Mm-hmm. It would not be enough because they can't leave well enough alone. And the only solution is absolute and full compliance.
Well, it would show the ability on a massive scale how they always talk about bipartisan and working together and unity and everything, and how
we get that for war.
And how and how quickly they would not do any of that stuff because we don't like them. No. But at the same time, support Ukraine and they have Nazis in it.
No.
Right. At the same time, support this, but they kill gays and throw them off the roofs in this country. Support this, but they because all these other cultures that they're supporting and showing around the world have their own cultures and have their own tribes, and they don't want this type of democracy, like the democracy. Like we don't even want the democracy that they're trying to instill on us.
Do you ever watch the I think in Uganda or where they outlawed homosexuality?
Yes.
And there was an American or a Western reporter saying, like, how can you do this? Like, don't you care about the gays in your country? And he was like, no, I don't. And she's like, she was like so shocked, but like, because she's not taking it from the perspective of yes, there is a gay population in Uganda, but it's like 0.2% of the population. Yeah. 98% of the population of this country voted in unison to like outlaw homosexuality. Just because you have an agenda to push, you lose your perspective of what the people of this nation actually want. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it, but that's what's going on here as well. And like I say all the time, like
I think though it's changing, man. Sorry to interrupt, but like
no, you're fine. But this is the perspective that's been going on in this situation for in this area for a long time. Now, do I think that's a little extreme? Like, is that my lifestyle? No. But I know people that live that lifestyle around me that are good people? Yes, I do. I mean, it's their preference. Like, I'm not hating on them because they want to, they want to raise their family together and they're two women or they're two men. I'm not hating on them at all for that. And most of the people that I know that are, gay or lesbian, and I know that's not enough because we don't have enough letters for everybody because they've actually even gotten pushed out of their own movement because they're not gay enough, they're not good, they're not woke enough, they're not everything
progressive
else.
Enough.
Yeah, man. Like it's still such a small percentage in the grand scheme of things, just like COVID was, and those numbers that were all fudged and whatever else. We all know that now, and we've been saying it since day one. But if you take the spotlight and only show the 1%, it makes it look like it's the 100%.
Huge. Yep.
And it's all
Yep.
propaganda, and it's all highlighting and spotlighting to try to push their agenda forward.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, like, the trans community is probably less than what the Uganda's gay population is,
Yeah.
and they're making it the main priority, the mainstay, the main thing of their parties. You know, their right to move forward and everything else. Like,
I'd say it's safe to say that there are less trans people drinking Bud Light than there isn't. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure, like, out of, if you
there's
were
just
to break
less trans
down,
people in general.
yes,
with
there
anything.
is. And if you were to break down, like, Anheuser-Busch's, like, if you were to take all the research,
man,
if you were to take all the research that they do into who buys their beer, they have to be realizing, not now, before they decided to do this, that, like, you are catering to a point percentage
a very
of your
niche market.
Yeah, compared to the 98%, 99%, I would even say, of your actual market.
Mhm.
And I think that's why I feel like this might be a slight beginning of the end, because people are outraged on social media.
You don't fuck with two things
beer.
with America's. One of the main things is you don't fuck with beer, and that's why a lot of people are waking up to, like, what?
Yeah.
The bars are closed. Like, what the fuck? Like, you don't close the bars. Like, you know, that was a big or line in the sand moment, like we were talking about on the other episode. Everybody had their line in the sand moment. If it takes Bud Light doing this to be your line in the sand moment, I mean, you know, God bless you. You might be a simpleton, because it should have been a line way before. But at the same time, we'll take you. Come on in.
Yeah.
Water's nice.
Don't show up. Yeah, show up with a case of Miller Lite. You know, to note, for anybody who is trying to stay away and fight the good fight. And it's funny, because we started the last episode talking about, like, boycotting things, and I was like, oh, I don't got kids, I don't need to boycott
Disney, right? Yeah.
Because I mean, I'll watch Star Wars the day I die, but this is like
now
a product that, like,
now you can only watch pre-Disney Star Wars.
Yeah. But, like, so, like, doing this with Bud Light, you know, the government didn't tell them to do this. They chose to get involved in this culture war, and they actively chose to do this and alienate their clientele and their market. I mean, Budweiser has, since before you were even born, probably and you're not that much older than me. I'm just saying, we're talking, what are you, like, you're 40, right?
Yep.
We're talking easily over 40 years of some of the greatest marketing advertisements in the history.
McKenzie.
Yeah, the Budweiser frogs, the Super Bowl commercials with the Clydesdales.
The twins.
Yeah, the twins. And now, I mean, we go from some of the greatest marketing advertisements.
What about Real Men at Genius?
Yes. I could hear that song in my head right
Mr.
now.
Right.
to this dribble of a loser on TikTok. I mean, do Logan Paul. You want somebody who has the views. You want somebody who is on TikTok, who's young and can get your name and your brand out there. Do somebody like a Logan Paul. There's 1,000,001. Who, I don't know if you ever seen him. I can't remember his name. He's the black dude that drinks all the Happy Dads, and he's I can't drink today. I drank last night.
Yeah,
grow up. Just because you drank last night doesn't mean you should ruin tonight.
I know. I've seen him.
Give him the Bud Light fucking sponsorship. He deserves it.
Well, you couldn't do that. They couldn't do that because he's a black conservative.
Oh no. Just like the rest, you take a look at middle America. You don't think that everybody who went out and voted for Trump didn't go home and fucking crack open a BL smoothie? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I know, dude.
You know, it's going to be funny to see. I think Kid Rock is going to just cut his contract off in his bar in Nashville, and I don't think he's going to serve Bud Light anymore out of there. So could you imagine one of
Well, the other problem is Anheuser-Busch has a lot of products underneath their label.
Yes, I have that right
It's
here.
it's like a conglomerate of
Yeah,
you know.
So the upsetting one is also Corona.
That's a very deep one for me because I only drink Corona Premier.
All right, so we have Budweiser, Bud Light, Beck's, Stella Astros, which is I love a good Stella.
Stella.
Michelob, Bass, Hoegaarden, another one that I really like. What did that say? Something blue, Rolling Rock.
Those are the only beers I drink. Rolling Rock and Corona.
Goose Island, Land Shark. I always enjoyed a good Land Shark.
Land
on
Shark
the beach.
too, man. That's all my shit.
Shock Top's another one. Bush, Natty Ice. College kids, I don't know what you're gonna do no more. But Natty Ice is out. Yeah. Corona Extra. That's pretty upsetting. Red Hook, O'Doul's, but that's non-alcoholic pussy shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a bunch of them here. So just stop, Miller Lite, baby.
Anheuser-Busch, I am gonna send you all my legal bills because you're forcing me to drink vodka now.
Like you said, when I drink dark alcohol, I end up in jail.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So yep, this is all on you, Anheuser-Busch.
But they are taking one hell of a beating on social media, and I'm all here for it. It's time.
You think they're going to try to walk it back, or you think they're going to go double down?
That's an interesting question. It depends.
Because it's like they're all in right now.
Yeah. You know what's. I'm not even going to say it depends who's there. Because for these companies, they'll walk it back once they get Q2's profit margins. That's what it comes down to.
How do you walk this back?
You know what? Easily, very easily. The American population is dumb as shit.
Yes. How would you walk it back?
They'll just bring out the frogs singing "Real Man of Genius" on the back of some Clydesdales, cracking open Bud Lights, and we'll forget Dylan Mulvaney even existed.
I think the only way they could bring it back is like Trump riding an eagle, drinking a Bud Light.
Yeah, something. But I think they could bring it back very easily. These boycotts don't last forever. Think the company is going to take a beating right now. I think they'll. Yeah,
but that's where you hit them where it hurts is their money, and then they realize go woke, go broke. Right? I know it's cliche, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and it's really. Not to say that there shouldn't be any trans people in advertising or anything like that.
No, they're in every fucking show, every fucking movie. They're everywhere right now. But they're shoving it down your throat.
You gotta know your market.
That's know your audience, right?
You can't Cabela's can't come out with some trans activist. You know what I mean? The large Bass Pro Shop can't be doing shit like this.
I wear my Real Tree Mossy Oak pink. It is amazing.
Yeah. I'm sitting on the tree, not in the tree.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So enough of that. Oh my God, the screw is completely stripped.
Oh, you got a screw loose?
Yeah, a couple. So let's get into now that we ranted about that, let's get into the big news of the week. Old Donnie Trump getting quote unquote arrested. I've been loving Twitter. I've been loving all the rules that are being bent. I did see one interview, I think it was with Clint Russell, and the guy that he interviewed, don't necessarily remember his name, was talking how this was more of a internal laundering scheme, that Cohen was paying off people with his personal money and Trump was paying his legal fees through the company. So that was an interesting aspect, but the rest of this is all a political hit job. I mean, you have Briggs, who reduced 52% of crime to misdemeanors last year, and then he takes a paper crime and ups it to a felony. There's 34 counts of criminal behavior on Trump, and they want to give him 134 years in prison or something like that. Nobody goes to jail for 100 years for a paper crime. No one. Okay.
Oh, I don't know if you saw the thing with Biden talking about how they're going to do everything legally by the Constitution, so he'll never be president again.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
I mean, that just shows, but this is my thing. Like, this is how the Democrats play, and they play to fucking win. And they're going to do every dirty trick. They're going to use every dirty politician. They're going to use every dirty judge. They're going to use every dirty, FBI agent, and they use them well. And they're going to put their propaganda out there, even though, let's say, if you look at Twitter, it's probably 75% of the universe, but 98% of the universe knows that this is all bullshit crime. Because if we literally just took the United States off of the docket and said, oh, this is happening in Paraguay, you'd be like, save the democracy, send in the troops, do this, do that. But US, it's like, oh, they're finally being held accountable for crimes. Wait, I still think this is all just setting precedents.
Me too.
At this point, because it's so radical and it's so like in your face, wrong and stupid, but it's just opening that gate. Because like we've talked about this, like they found documents, then they found his documents. Oh, they could look at his tax records, now they looked at Hunter Biden's. They can do this. I think it's setting precedent, and I think it's one of those things where these leftists are going so hard because they keep telling you that Trump's going to be arrested. Now he's arrested. Oh, we're winning, we're this, we're that, all this other stuff. And you've seen like the side-by-side Twitters of the JoJo's where she's like, put all people in, everybody get their jab. Put all people in camps. And then like a couple weeks later, they're like, my face doesn't work. Okay. Like shit like that. Like you just watch the hypocrisy, and it's timeline, and it's linked, and it's documented now, where if you even look back at all our stuff where we write about everything, no, but if you timeline us and look back at what we were saying, pretty fucking good, man.
We were way ahead of the curve.
Our batting average is pretty up there. I would say it's in the 800s. And what was the best batting average of all time? Like three. The best batting average, like best hitter in the world was what? His best batting average was like 285 or 300 or something like that. So we're doing well above the curve.
This is what I've been enjoying and saying, like, let them scream as loud as they want. Let them bend as many rules, change as many rules as you want. Go crazy with this one.
Mental gymnastics the shit out of this,
because there's going to be a second coming. It's going to boomerang back, and all those rules you changed, all the precedents you set are going to end up on your doorstep, and you're going to fall by your own sword.
And there's a big difference when the boomerang's back, because we have evidence.
Yeah.
And legitimate evidence and proof.
And how can I put this? Yes. And the funny thing is, like, you look at like Twitter, they're like, he's arrested. He's been arrested. He's been arrested. Just like the whole impeachment thing, like he's been impeached, but he's still your president. He's been impeached again, but he's still in the White House. Is he like, fine, he has an impeachment or two on his record. I have a point or two on my license. I still drive down the street.
I know what I mean?
Like you make this big thing that he was impeached, but he still the next day walks right back into the White House and goes back to work. You say he's arrested, but then he walks out of the court with no handcuffs
and he's hops on a dinner in Mar-a-Lago by 7.
Yeah, pops on his private jet and he goes back home. This doesn't really seem like he's arrested. Like they cheer over these things. Like if Trump was in a cell right now, like all the January 6 people, I could see you cheering. I could see that maybe should have been your goal, but it didn't happen that way. And what are you cheering of? Like, he's still essentially a free man.
Did you also see that they're talking about him paying off Stormy Daniels, all this other stuff, and literally Eric Trump, and I know Donnie T. Jr. posted the same day. They're like, Ninth District Court Ninth District Court of New York announced today that Stormy Daniels owes $120,000 plus blah 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 to add on to the $500,000 she already owes Donald Trump for
she has to pay his legal fees
and all that stuff. She's got to pay his legal fees, and I think it's funny that almost the exact amount of money that she's got to give him back is the ones that they're saying he paid. They're saying he paid like 130, and she's like, oh well, Stormy Daniels has to pay him 121. Like he's just playing that back end game with her, like oh yeah, you're gonna do this, okay, cool. And then but with this is what I don't understand. They're trying to get him saying he used campaign funds to pick this stuff up. Okay. They're trying to use the campaign funds and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, the Manhattan District Attorney is using federal funds to go after a former president and wasting taxpayers' money to go on what, the 27th fucking witch hunt?
This is okay. I mean, as long as you're going after Trump, you could use taxpayer money. As long as we're funding Nazis and as long as we're going after Trump, it's okay. What we, and gender studies for Pakistani universities, that's okay to use taxpayer money on. Housing homeless veterans, they could go fuck themselves.
Medicare, Medicaid, you can't do that.
All the senior citizens,
the VA,
go fuck themselves.
Your infrastructure, your road. Oh, but we did the infrastructure bill. Yeah, like fucking 1%'s going to infrastructure, and the rest is going to how fucking in China we can make a bat fuck a pangolin and then have sex with a flying gerbil. So like it's just
we did the infrastructure bill, but we've had what? 97,000 chemical train accidents in the past 2 months or so,
and another 300 eggs and food processing plants lit on fire.
So the infrastructure is doing real well,
and then the boats are sinking in the Ohio River, and man, like you got to see through the bullshit. Everything that they can sit here and blame everything they want on Daddy Trump, and the one thing I will give them is like, yes, did Trump fucking inject a ton of money during COVID? He did. He totally did.
And we were actively against it when he was doing it.
Yep, we all were, and I see, especially lefties, they're always like, oh, yeah, all the Trumpers don't like socialism, but I see all the DPW people with "Don't Tread on Me" flags, and then I see all the police officers with this, and then I see all the business owners that took the PPP loans and got it forgiven. So like you only like socialism when it doesn't work for you, or you only don't like socialism when it doesn't work for you. There's a huge difference, and this is, and it's not a but, and it's not a difference. Like, especially being a business owner with PPP loans, right? I didn't ask to shut down my business. I didn't ask for the government handout. They forcefully shut down my business and my ability to make money to try to put me in a socialist system because I couldn't feed my fucking family. Okay, that's not me choosing to take the government handout. They forced me to shut my business down and still pay my bills. I said this from the fucking jump. If they wanted to shut down the country and everybody needed to save and we all had to work together, don't fucking charge us our mortgages. Don't charge us our electric bills. Don't charge us our gas bills. Don't charge us our food bills. Like, there's certain things that we're going to have to be able to do money and survive. Like, okay, groceries. Like, all right, cool. Like, we're still going to have to eat. We're going to have to figure that out. But all your big giant bills, why are only the small businesses taking the hit, but the mortgage company, oh, we deferred it for a month. You're still getting your money. I'm never going to retain that lost revenue for that month, that other year, that other, the other 2 months or 3 months. They're still like, yeah, we're going to defer it, but we're still going to get it on back end. And then you're going to be paying interest over more time. So you're going to make more money because it added more interest because you decided to defer your mortgage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So everybody was still getting paid. The gas companies were still getting paid. Everybody else was getting paid. The small business owners that took the PPP loans are the people that had no choice. Still trying to pay their employees. We're still trying to pay all their bills. but they didn't have a source of income to do it. And not for nothing, that PPP loan and that money should go to the American people. But these people would be more happy if it went to Ukraine. And then we say, oh, but you could do for yourself.
Yeah.
You can't take away my ability to do for myself and then tell me, oh, you're an asshole for taking money and everything else. Now, I took a PPP loan. That's fine. Was it forgivable? Absolutely. You know where my PPP loan went to? To pay
Your
my
employees?
fucking landlord and to pay my fucking employees and to pay everything else so somebody had a job to come back to once everything was all said and done. Right?
Yeah, you got
So
none
I
of it.
Yeah.
But yet you're demonized for being the business owner. That's
My
what
money-
I
my-
mean.
I
COVID
didn't
was
get
a
I
straight.
didn't get a new jet. I didn't get a
Yeah.
new car. I didn't get a new this. My
Yeah,
money
You
went
didn't even
to
get a
pay
new
my-
pair of shoes.
No, my money
Yeah.
went to pay other people. So they basically gave me money to pay other people.
And the lazy
And I'm
people
still
who would,
having all that debt and everything
Yeah.
else. Now,
and the
let me-
lazy people who can't start their own business, who can never even think of starting their own business because they'd rather just have daddy government provide everything, still
Well,
want to demonize you. You
and-
took the loan, you know,
and
so
the- and
therefore
these
you must
people-
have bought a new
and I-
Benz.
Yes, and I know these people that are even saying this have only worked for big corporations, have taken unemployment, have taken all that other stuff, taken any handout they could get their whole entire life, and then they're going to sit there and demonize people, not demonize people, but try to have a snarky remark on a PPP loan that was
Yeah.
forced on a government forced shutdown. Like it's unwild how disconnected they really are with this shit. You know?
And meanwhile, they'll sit in the airport and wonder why their flight's delayed because Delta took all the PPP loans and still fired everyone. Where'd that money go? CEO got himself a new jet, got himself a new Beamer.
And I get it. Like they're like, oh, the Marjorie Taylor Greene's got $100,000. Well, we were all yelling about that too. Like, let's not inject this money. Just stop making people pay, and you don't have to inject the money.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is like, okay, even with the PPP, with that is like
Amazing
Harvard
how we
had-
went from Trump to PPP loans.
I know. Well, it's all connected because
Yeah, it
Trump
is.
was, that was one of the things, and that's one of the major talking points and all that other stuff. But like we were saying, like, why did Harvard get fucking hundreds of millions of dollars when they were worth 52 billion? You're telling me they
Yeah.
couldn't have held on for a couple months?
Yeah.
It's
Those are
insane.
the institutes that they're in cahoots and in bed.
So and just to be fair there too, I'm a big proponent. One of my big hangups with Trump always was the vaccine.
You don't
which I
believe
spoke-
there's always that conspiracy of Trump and the vaccine that like he knew, so like he rushed it out, so they had to give out kind of like a placebo almost
So
to get it out to keep optics and
there's
stuff.
there's
I
so
don't-
many
I-
different
it's-
ways.
But yes, there's a million. I never really bought into any of it. I feel
But
like
I think it's funny that like his sons didn't get it, but his daughter
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
But did they too?
true.
But did they? Did they take the
Right.
placebo? Because they're like, I ain't touching that shit. But
Yeah.
and I understand that you had to do that to open up the economy, and they wanted to keep the economy shut down for like 10 years
Well, yeah. I mean, if I
and
think
destroy it all.
I think if it didn't come out under Trump and it came out under Biden, which technically it did, it would have been more of like a mandated process, whereas Trump got the wheels turning and it was more of an
I think it was a
option.
tactical. I think it was a tactical move.
There's
to get
definitely
the-
tactics to it.
to,
Yeah.
to get the economy and people be like, oh, well, it's a tactical move with people's lives. But that's the people on the right saying that. But even the people on the left, they would be like, oh, he's making a tactical move. But they're the same people that were like, take 6, take 7. I
Yeah.
can't use my face and I'm still getting my
Yeah.
booster. Like you can't even, have the conversation with the people. It's like, I know, for a fact that it was the right decision for me not to take it. I know for a fact that it was the right decision for my family not to take it. I know for a fact now, and I've been proven enough that it is not good. It is not healthy. It does not stop. It does not do anything it says it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
So, I'm okay with the decision I made for me. You made a different decision for your families.
it's-
And I know a lot of people that were coerced into doing it.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, like that was my line in my sand. That was my hill. That was my hill to
Yeah,
die
that
on.
was my line. Yeah.
I have a
And
couple
it's-
lines in the sands and hills to die on that I'm not going to settle for, and
Yeah.
that's one of them.
It was funny because when it first came out, I was in the camp like, well, I'm gonna wait and see what happens. And like early on, that was kind of like an acceptable thing to say because there was still hope that you were going to do it. And so then like people were like, so you're gonna get the vaccine now? I was like, yeah, well, I've waited and I saw what's been going on, and I'm not gonna do it. And they're like, oh, what do you mean you're not going to do it? Like, you know, so that.
You don't
was
care
always,
about old grandma's health. Blah blah blah.
I always
Shut
said
the
that. Fuck your
up.
grandma. I always said that. I don't give a fuck. You know, I knew
Selfish.
COVID.
Selfish Cap.
I knew COVID was bullshit the first time I walked into the grocery store. They made me wait online outside. There could only be like 15, 20 people in the store maximum. And I'm waiting, and it was cold because it was like March, right?
Yeah.
And I'm waiting because my parents are a little older, and whatever they couldn't find, I would go back out and look for them, be a good son. And I knew it was all bullshit. The second I walked in and the produce wasn't protected at all, and people were picking up Apple A. No, I don't want this one. Apple B, put Apple B in their bag. Apple C, nope, don't want this one. Pick up Apple D. You just spread your germs across all the Apple produce, but I got to wear a mask. I got to say 6 feet apart. We can only have 10 people in this store, but every person in this store could touch all the apples and all the carrots and all the cucumbers and all the fruit and all the vegetables and put it all back. I could.
But that once, because one of their linchpins was, it survives on surfaces for days longer than anything else, blah blah. And then once that narrative fell apart, it was only airborne. You got to keep your face mask on. Got to keep your face mask on. And I'm like,
it's funny to sit back and think of just how.
I was giving people rational solutions, like real time, like, this makes sense, but this is, they're like, even though it does make sense what you're saying, like, I can't take this off. I'm like, you fucking simpletons.
I think now, like, is a good time to go back and talk about, like, how gullible people, like, not us, it shouldn't even probably be us talking about it, because it'd be more of an I told you so tour, but, like, to sit back and, like, now that it's like 3 years out and be like, having no symptoms is a symptom. Boy, now that your face can't work because you had 97 booster shots, like, did anything like light up in your head when they said, if you're not sick, you're sick. If you have no symptoms, you are sick. Like,
but everybody had that,
one.
And then when you would say that to people, you would see the wheels turning and it registered, but they go, but I'm just doing the right thing to protect this one. But are you?
Doesn't
are
matter.
You doing the right thing by giving up your right? Are you doing the right thing? Like, that's what I would always be like. But are you really protecting grandma? Because I know my grandma would rather hug and kiss their fucking kids than to be like, get the shower curtain. Like, think about how fucking ridiculous this was. Or like, let me put on a fishbowl helmet and Junior, like, okay, like maybe week 1, week 2. After a week and a half, my mother-in-law, my mom were like, we're gonna see our fucking grandkids. Like, this is like, and they both work in, healthcare, whatever, but both of them still to this day, like, their jobs are supposed to have jabs and they fucking fought it and they don't have it and they're not getting it. And
that was
a line in the sand.
The job I was working at the time, my old job, there, the manager was like, I'm going to see if there's a way that the company could get us the vaccine so we don't have to go. I was like, whoa, I'm not getting it. And she's like, well, you need it. I was like, you're going to need a new manager if I have to get it. No questions asked. I actually filled out, we could say this now. I actually filled out a religious exemption and it passed because it was right after we found out they tested it on aborted fetal tissue.
Yeah.
And then all my other friends just literally copied and pasted what I put. And they got religious exemptions at their jobs.
Well, it is a religion. They can't question anything. They don't know your religion. My beliefs can change at any time, right?
Yeah, change on a whim.
If we're so fluid and we're gender fluid and we're pronoun fluid, I can identify as a fucking Muslim by 12 and a Jew by 3 and a Catholic Buddhist by 4.
Yeah.
Like,
and funny enough, one of their companies wrote back saying, well, Tylenol and Motrin are tested on aborted fetal tissue and stuff, blah, 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 right? So so they were trying to make the argument that if you've ever used Tylenol, we can't give you this religious exception.
Okay.
Yeah. So
so you hit that for me too? I'm not using it anymore either.
Yeah. So the person responded was like, wow, I didn't know that. Thank you for letting me know. I will never use these name brands again. Blah, blah, blah. I will find an alternative source. Tylenol hid that information from me. I did not know. And so, like, it just, the people, they were looking for any reason to nail you with this stuff. And it was a fun time, man.
Oh yeah,
fighting it back.
That's why I've stuck to my guns on everything. And what I said to most people is like their goalpost always changes. Mine hasn't moved.
Yeah.
That's the difference. But that's also how I know, in the grand scheme of things, that I'm on the right path and I'm doing the right things because I haven't moved my goalpost, and I'm still in a good spot.
Yeah. And that's how, like, with everything we've been through, everything we've called, everything we've watched unfold, like, a lot of us are not worried about, like, Trump being indicted. Like, I bet on him that he's coming out on top. If there's one thing that shocks me about certain people, you're betting against him again. Like, just humor me and bet on him this time. Next time, bet against him. I don't care. This time, just bet on him. And quite possibly we'll be pulling up this podcast a year from now, showing how fucking wrong I was. I don't know.
It's
the man
possible.
Don't lose.
I don't see it, but it's possible.
All the telltale signs are there that he's going to come out. The media is screaming. Twitter is screaming. Washington is laughing. And we're sitting here, as Q would say, comfy and cozy, eating your popcorn. None of us are worried. It's not even a Q, an anon thing, a Q conspiracy thing. Most of us are, even the people who I talk to politically that are on the right, and we talk how crazy this is and how insane that is. They haven't even been hitting me up over Trump being indicted, because we're on the same, like, none of us are worried.
I see that from the left a lot too. They're like, oh, the right's awfully quiet. The right's awfully quiet. Oh, got your tongue. Like, no. We knew
all we have to do is sit back and watch.
It was gonna happen. We know it's a fucking farce. We know it's all smoke and mirrors bullshit. If there's anything you guys have gained from us in the last 2 years, like, once the light switch goes on, it goes on. Now, does it look terrible? Is it optics? Does it look like a shit?
I don't even feel like it's bad optics.
But I've also said too, like, everybody's like, oh, you're crazy because of gold and silver and this and that. And we're just watching. They're just watching the petrodollar go away. I've been yelling about the petrodollar for fucking years, how it's going to go. They're going to try to do crypto.
I know. I got to get some money into gold and silver, man.
I'm not even, well, you better do it sooner than later there. My silver dealer is always out now too. It's crazy. So I got a silver dealer,
There you go.
Dr. Kirk Elliott, 2 L's, 2 T's, PhD.com/SGTSAM for your precious metal purchases, or turning over your 401ks to gold and silver backed 401ks, 403bs, IRAs. Go check them out. We're telling you this now because, not for me, for you. I've been screaming this, doing Samurai Silver reports, doing all this other stuff. Guys, it's just happening. And you don't want to be a cog in the system. You have to take yourself out of the system. It's almost going to be like we're going to have a parallel economy for quite some time, especially if they try to do that forced, like, digital currency, which they're trying, the rainbow and, the quantum financial markets and everything else. Go look into that too. It's pretty interesting stuff. You know what? We have a couple minutes since we're on the financial. Let's take the last 10 minutes. You ever hear of, what is it? Nassar or whatever?
No, I'm terrible with finance. I've been educating
okay, so
myself.
No. This has been a conspiracy theory for some time. I'm probably going to butcher this, but I'm going to put it as easily as it is. So you ever hear of, like, the Jubilee? Like they used to have the Jubilee or whatever like that. So back in like Roman times and stuff like that, basically the Jubilee, they would clear everybody's debt every 5 years. So nobody would be held down by this person or that person for an extended period of time. Everybody had an equal share. You know, maybe you got into back then, you got a loan from somebody and they just charged you an astronomical rate, but you had to feed your family, but they knew there was no way you're paying off a 40% VIG over the next whatever. They would like clear your debt, right? So they've been talking about this on the back channels for a very long time. And then it's the quantum banking system, the quantum computing, quantum banking system. Now, that is something that is happening because I know somebody who works on the fucking projects over in a different country. So that's been happening for years through Australia, London, this, that. They've been working on this quantum banking system, you know, to be able to do whatever. So, you know, basically what they say is like, you know, when all this shit hits the fan, it's going to be like a Jubilee. They're going to wipe all our debt. So that means like my mortgage goes away, all that other stuff. I mean, it sounds great in theory, everything else.
Better buy a house now then.
I'm not holding my breath, right? I'm not holding my breath on everything, but I'm just saying this is what's being put out there. So, you know, they're talking about, you know, the US because like we, in our birth certificates and social security numbers, we are sold like commodities, right? So you used to be able to go to a certain website. I think it was even the Treasury or whatever. You could put in your social security number and you could see how much you're worth on the stock market because they trade you. So like, Cap, you would be worth $4.3 million. There's no
I'm going to go ahead and say,
but you can't
zero.
But you no. We're all worth a couple $1 million.
Okay.
Our birthright also gives us a certain amount of gold for being in the land of the United States as a U.S. citizen. But we sign over our sovereign citizen rights when we were born. We signed a thing. All our birth certificates were owned by London. They traded us, right? Trump actually took the rights back from the Queen and got our birth certificates back. So that was something that is true that you can follow and you can see that happening.
Interesting.
So with this whole Nassar thing that's supposed to be put into play is basically when everything hits the fan, they're going to swipe the banking system. It's going to go back to the gold-based standard. We're going to have forgiven money in the lands, our lands, and we're going to there's a way they're going to work it all out, and we're all going to get the money from the taxes that have been stolen from us all these years. It's going to be put in. You're going to get
Ukraine will have to pay everything back, right?
Crazy, right? So everybody's like, oh, it's bullshit. It's very far-fetched. I mean, it sounds good, but I know a lot of smart people that follow this and they're following it and they're putting their money where their mouth is in certain situations, right? But something interesting that happened within the past day or two was Russia forgave $42 billion to Africa that they owed Russia since like World War II. It was like $42 billion. Putin said, your debt is no more. So
real bad guy.
A lot of people were like, boom, 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 boom. I saw it broke it up on the thread. So a couple people sending me like, this sounds like Nassar, however you say it. This sounds like one of the starts of it. Putin literally just went to Africa and forgave them almost $50 billion and was like, it's a show of good faith.
Which is crazy because $50 billion on the world economic stage is a drop in the bucket.
You know what? On the world stage, but $50 billion is still $50 billion.
Yes, it is.
It's so crazy that we speak about $50 billion like it's a little bit of money.
Oh, dude, like if you had $50 billion in your bank account, like you couldn't buy enough Bugattis and properties to like.
But people don't really understand this. Like I'm just throwing it out there. I know my numbers are not correct, but I'm just putting it into like a figure or an example you can wrap your head around. Like France's GDP or GDP for the whole country is like $43 billion. You can fucking buy France. You can fucking buy France for $50 billion. You can
so Elon could have bought France instead of Twitter.
But you got to understand this is like you could buy Uganda for like fucking $20 billion or $1 billion. Like people don't understand how much a billion really is because we see once again the small group being highlighted, like the Elon Musks and the Putins and all those guys that are worth like the Vladimir Zelenskys that are worth these billions of dollars. You don't understand how rich that really makes them, and they're fucking peasants to the people who are in control. We're in trillions of dollars worth of debt. Trillions. That wasn't even like a thought process 20 years ago, 30 years ago, like $1 trillion. Oh, what the fuck? That is ludicrous. Oh, we have a $60 billion budget. Now they throw around almost $1 trillion budget for the military, and everybody's like, oh, it's only $683 billion.
Yeah.
Do you understand how much billions of dollars is? Like, that's why we've been screaming from the rooftops, telling you guys about this. But it's something for our listeners to go look into it. Check it out. Gold, silver, ammo.
Yeah.
Gold, silver, ammo.
Something.
Food, too.
Yeah.
But if you have gold, silver, and ammo, you can take other people's food.
Yes. Well, we were talking about that as well.
So, but hopefully it doesn't get to that point. But you know what, man, sit back, enjoy the ride. I know it's scary times. Like I say all the time, I have children. That's why I'm a little bit more like passionate about certain things, because I don't want them to grow up this. But if it was just me roll dogging it, bro, I'd be like, what's up, players?
You'd be Mad Max.
Yeah. I mean, I know I'll be good.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting times. So,
if I die, I die. It was meant to be.
Yeah, go down swinging, baby.
It was, baby.
That's the way we do it. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us on another bonus segment of Captain Samurai.
Look at you twice in one day.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting better at this, right?
Yeah.
You think I would do this for a living? A little message here from Old Skags. Our next episode for the Two Do Men podcast is with a musician named Andy Coons, Koons. He has an album coming out soon. I don't have the exact date. He's a great libertarian. That episode is coming out on Monday at YouTube at 8 and everywhere else Tuesday morning. This episode should be up and ready for the weekend. Make sure you check out our previous episode, the Patriot Podcast Community, and make sure you check out the next episode of Andy Coons. You got anything to shout out? You do any episodes?
Guys, no, we didn't do anything. We just posted the episode that we all did together as our Monday episode, so you can check that out over by us as well if you can't find it over on the Two Do Men. But guys, we really need you to share and subscribe. Share, like, subscribe. We're shadow banned to all hell through everything. Just share and subscribe. Get the message out there. Even if you think we're lunatics, let people make fun of us. We don't care.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Two Do Men get a strike on YouTube for having the likes of you and James Vegas James over there on our show. Usually James is the reaper of death on YouTube.
On YouTube, he is the reaper of death on YouTube.
They literally, I imagine like there's like a dark like basement office in YouTube headquarters, and like you just hear like screams and heavy metal music coming from there. And there's definitely like a picture of James on the wall with like darts sticking out of it. You know what I mean? Like, just in the deep dungeons of YouTube, there's something like that going on.
Like, we hate this guy that loves freedom. What is the matter with him?
Motherfucker's always just over the target.
Fall in line. Shut up.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back next week with more bonus episodes. Thank you.
Later, kids.
And stop.